Hello and welcome to LiveKinetically.com. I'm Coach Dan Palacios, and today we're going to cover rope rolling basics. Rope rolling is a simple and effective way to teach your body fluid and athletic rotational movement patterns while using something very light and easy to work with like a jump rope or a nautical rope. Now, this is the WEC Method RMT rope that can be purchased at WECMethod.com using my discount code WMKinetic. And we're gonna just learn how to roll the rope as opposed to traditionally jumping the rope. Now, if you're used to jumping rope and you're already great at jumping rope, this is a fantastic exercise to apply. Jump rope is great for developing better light contact with the floor, better foot and ankle mechanics, stronger feet and ankles, but it is only a singular movement pattern, which is to say the rope is rolling forward and we're jumping over it repeatedly from that forward position. It requires a certain level of rigidity in the spine and in the body in general to jump the rope. What's great about rope rolling is that, again, it's teaching us fluid rotational dynamics, how to understand the body's positioning in space, and how to understand the movement of the rope that we are applying and how we are controlling the rope as it moves. So where we want to start is with the rope in ideally the right hand or your dominant hand, that could be your left hand, and we're moving the rope backwards as opposed to the traditional forward rolling pattern, which would be the rope going down and forward into the ground. We want to go up and backward. And you'll notice that it doesn't require very much movement from the entire body in order to move the rope. We keep the rope long and taut by just maintaining that rotational momentum, and we're making big circles down the right side of my body or the left side of my body. Now, we want to learn to develop rhythm and coordination on both sides before we try to apply new movement patterns or rhythm patterns. So we'll typically execute 20 to 30 reps on each side individually, stopping the rope and starting that backward rotational pattern again, making those big circles just down the left side or the right side of the body. Now from here we can work on passing the rope after 2 or 3 rotations. So we would go a 1, a 2, and a 3, and cutting it over at a diagonal in front of the body in order to transition from one side of the body to the other. The trick here is to not stop the rope and not jump the rope. So we want to cut it and let it fall back behind our body as the rope continues to move. And notice it's a very light, easy pass right in front of the body, and we're watching the hands move as we go from one side to the next here. So we would apply 3 rotations, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We might do that 20 to 30 times just to get the body used to that rhythm, and then try to work on single rotations from side to side and what we call the figure 8. Teaching the body not only to understand this movement pattern, right, but really be able to master it and identify when we're here. What many people have trouble with is the transition from one side of the body to the other, particularly from their dominant side to their non-dominant side. And what will happen is they'll typically stop the rope and try to get it going in that forward pattern. Because many of us are so used to the jump rope pattern, the body neurologically wants to move the rope that way. So again, this is a fantastic way to start establishing a new understanding of movement from a rotational perspective and develop new neurological learning pathways. When we stimulate the brain and body as an entire unit, the body does a much better job of learning quickly and efficiently. So this is a fantastic place to start your movement journey and allow your body to establish new ways of moving rotationally as we start to progress over time. So when we're moving the rope backwards, we can now start to understand how to work the entire body together. And instead of using one hand, we can now work with 2 hands at the same time, working those same rhythms and patterns. We might do a single side for 20 to 30 reps, the other side for 20 to 30 reps, go back into our figure 8s, work with our 3 and 2 patterns, and start to understand how to move the entire body as a unit while steering the rope lightly with the hands. We want to learn to direct the rope by steering it with the hands up and out, up and out. And you'll notice that it does have somewhat of a cathartic or therapeutic benefit because it allows you to center in and just focus on what it is you're doing right here, right now. It's low impact, it's high yield. It allows you to keep the pressure off your joints if you're having any kind of foot, ankle, knee, hip, low back issues where you don't want to be jarring the body too much too quickly. And we can go back to jumping the rope by learning our directional patterns. So if we consider the upward or backward stroke to be a northbound movement, we can work to east or west, to the south, which is now that forward, downward rotational stroke, to the west, and back to the north. When we understand the movement dynamics, we can continue to move the rope in any pattern we like without ever stopping. What's fun about this is, again, it can be high yield from a neurological perspective, but also high yield from a metabolic perspective. We can move the rope quickly and keep it up off the floor, but we can keep it down on the floor as we slow down and really focus on the auditory and visual aspects of learning when it comes to rolling the rope. We're using that figure 8 motion to teach the spine to move, to teach loading from one side of the body to the other. That's to say I'm shifting from one foot and landing into the other. I'm moving my spine now quite a bit, and I'm also focusing in on a different visual focal point as well as the auditory focal points. So I'm listening for the rope to hit the ground and understanding that timing of when I need to move the rope up, out, and back in order to continue the momentum of the rope. So it's very stimulating from a learning perspective for the whole body. What's great about this is that I can also wear something like the breath belt here, and it's light movement for my spine. It's like really light chiropractic work for your spine and daily maintenance to help shake off some of that rust that builds up on your central nervous system, on your nerve tissue that runs through your spine. You have to remember that your brain runs directly down through your spinal column into your nervous system so that the rest of your nerves can go peripherally out into your body. So these movement patterns here allow us to clear space in the spine and free up movement in a very light and effective way. So we're starting to understand the locomotive aspects of spinal engine driven movement. So if you're just visiting my page for the first time, make sure to head over to thebreathbelt.com and order a breath belt using discount code KT20 so that you can understand how to use that proper breathing pattern throughout the rotational movements of the rope. It's very important that we understand breathing and how it corresponds with naturalized locomotive movement, right? We don't sit in place and stay rigid all day, and if we do, we're gonna become very stiff and tight, and the body will never really learn how to control itself and brace properly when we actually need to apply force. This is a nice relaxed movement, but when I want to tighten up and move with speed and power, my breathing patterns need to be able to coordinate with that. So having the breath belt on is not only cueing proper diaphragmatic breathing and nasal breathing, but it's also helping to create length and strength throughout all of my torso muscles as it compresses those tissues with that elastic band around the waist. So it's a really great way to develop a lot of different feedback-driven mechanisms, understanding foot and ankle, total body movement, hand movement patterns, breathing patterns, and just establishing a nice fluid athletic baseline for how our body moves. So make sure to check out weckmethod.com, use discount code WMKinetic to order your RMT rope. Head over to thebreathbelt.com, discount code Kinetic20 to order your breath belt, and then try out your rotational movement patterns with the Weck Method RMT rope. Again, thank you for joining me here on livekinetically.com. I'll see you next time. Live kinetically.